Well, Jerry, thank you for joining us. This interview is going to be a little different because we have our viewers asking you some questions, so I will relay their questions to you. First of all, there are a lot of judge shows out there. Why should anybody watch yours?
Well, actually, because this is the only one that pays me. But why they should watch this one, or I hope they watch this one, is each of the court shows are distinguished by the personality of the judge. So, for example, Judge Judy, who is the best there is, she's a disciplinarian. She's very tough. You know, that's the law, boom. With me, I treat the cases and the parties more as if I'm talking to my own daughter or I'm talking to my grandson. In other words, I'll never be mean. I try to explain what my decision is, why I'm reaching the decision that I am. But I never want to hurt anybody, and I think that kind of feeling will come through. And it's the same it was with my crazy talk show. I mean, it was a circus, but I never was mean to the guests. And, you know, if I had an opinion, I saved it till the end when I did my final thought. That's the demeanor I think I'm going to have with the courtroom, is that I'll try to be fair and just, but I also have to apply the law, and I'll explain why I'm deciding as I am.
So we're on Facebook Live as well, and so a question came in earlier from Santos saying, I guess we will see people fighting in the courtroom, will we?
No. We have to have the decorum that a courtroom requires. So they'll be arguing. I mean, you know, it's a real case. And whatever decision I make has legal validity. You can't then go to a court of common pleas and say, I didn't like the decision he gave, will you change it? No, whatever I decide, that's it. So, and because it has a serious consequence, whatever I decide, we have to have decorum. So no, there's a bailiff there. He will keep order if that is necessary. So, you know, it may be a little bit looser than you see in other courtrooms, just because people come in and they expect me to be crazy. But it'll end up being serious.
And so Steve wants to know what kind of cases, and will you be able to send anybody to jail?
No, these are not criminal cases. It's just like all the court shows. They're not criminal, it's civil cases. So it's not a matter of sending people to jail, but there is a monetary amount. You can sue for up to $5,000. So money is involved. It has a consequence. $5,000 is a lot of money in most people's lives. So, and they filed suit because someone is really angry about something. So that will be the way it goes.
And so Cody says he's not a real judge. Many people might not know. You do have a law degree, but you've never been a judge before. Is that correct?
Right. And it's like a lot of the judge shows. I've never been a judge before, but I've been an attorney and, you know, practiced law. And then I had to be, you know, you have to take a course quickly to be able to get the idea of being the judge. But, so yeah, I'm legally a judge, but I haven't been a judge before.
And so another viewer says, which is harder, being a talk show host or being the host of a judge show?
Well, being a judge is obviously harder because it's more responsible. You know, when I was doing my talk show, all I had to do was crack jokes. Here, I can crack a few jokes, but I've got to be serious at the end. I have to balance what is the morally right and fair and just answer and fit it into what the law is, because sometimes there's a conflict. Sometimes what you think is the fair human decision is not what the law says. And so you have to find a way to balance that. So that's tougher. And because you realize that the decision the judge makes is final, that's a lot of responsibility. So that makes the job much tougher than just being a talk show host. And
you've touched on this, but William is saying, is this just going to be another fake reality show? Are these cases really real?
Oh, all the cases are absolutely real. In fact, when the people file their cases in all 50 states, they have no idea they're going to wind up on television. They just file a lawsuit. Every morning, we have people who work on our show who go to the computer and look at every case that has been filed in the United States of America. And if it sounds like an interesting case, they call the plaintiff and the defendant and ask whether they would agree to have their case adjudicated on national television with me as the judge. If they say yes, then we fly them to Connecticut, where we built the courtroom, and that's where we handle the case. So it's as real as you can get. And as I said, whatever I decide, that's it. And that's the decision. So obviously it's totally real. These are real cases.
So if the show is going to be different from your talk show, how are you as the host going to be different? Are we seeing a different kind of Jerry?
Well, no. I mean, if you think about it, on my crazy talk show, I'm never acting crazy. I mean, I don't curse. I don't fight. I'm wearing a suit. I'm not running around in the jello or the mud, whatever they're fighting in. So it's the closest you would get is when I do my final thought. When I sit on the chair and at the end of the show give my judgment based on what has just happened, what I think would be the appropriate response. It's that demeanor that I would bring to the courtroom. So I'll joke around a bit, just as I said, because I can't help it. But in the end, I'm going to be serious because these people are serious. They filed a lawsuit having no idea they're going to be on television. They're filing a lawsuit because they're upset about something.
Besides the fact that it's a paying job, why did you want to do this?
Well, you know, at 75, usually you're retired. And I was getting ready to retire. And then all of a sudden I realized this is really challenging. And this is the one job I was trained to do. This is what my education was in college and law school and then practicing law. Every other job I've had has been great and wonderful and I've loved them, but it was never something I was trained to do. This is, and I just love the idea that I have to do the research because these cases come from all 50 states, so I have to learn what the law is in that particular state, so I apply the correct ordinances to it. So I enjoy that challenge. It keeps my mind going. And I'm really not that good of a golfer that I can afford to retire.
And so Lisa wants to know, how long did you practice law before you started doing television?
The actual practice probably was around 10 years.
And what kind of law did you practice?
I take cases every once in a while. Trial work, criminal as well as civil.
Okay, and so another viewer wants to know if you can tell us how many Florida folks end up in the courtroom so far. If
How
you
many
can recall.
Florida folks?
Yes, because we always have some strange Florida cases.
Oh, well, I'm sure some did, but, you know, I've done 260 cases already. So I honestly don't remember how many from each particular state, but they come from all over.
And what was
we've probably had someone from every state already, is my guess.
So out of those, what stands out in your mind? What is the strangest one or the one that was most compelling that you can recall?
Well, the most, oh gosh, it's hard to find one that's most compelling. I mean, we've had animal cases, for example, where, you know, a person's dog who they love went to the yard next door and killed the neighbor's cat. You know, and it's also a sad story there, but how the neighbors are at each other's throats. And this is, you know, she loved her cat and had the cat for 8, 9 years. And that was like a kid to her. And now the neighbor's dog killed it. You know, so you deal with that human emotion. We've had car accidents. We've had landlord-tenant relationships. We've had relationships that have gone south. A couple was engaged, and he gave her the engagement ring, and then she catches him cheating. So you know, he wants his ring back because she broke it off with him. But she says, no, you cheated. I'm keeping the ring. And the ring was really expensive. So, you know, it's just the human emotion involved in the conflict. That's what makes a case fascinating.
Shelley has an interesting question. Who's going to be the bailiff for the courtroom?
Oh, we have this great guy, Najid. He's the bailiff. When he was hired, you know, we interviewed a whole bunch of people. And I remember the producer sitting around with me, and he was down, it was down to the final 2 or 3. And I could tell the producers really wanted this guy. And I said, why are you so much, I mean, I really liked him too, but why are you all saying it should be him? Because one of them said, well, because we need some eye candy on the show, and he's a really good-looking guy. And this would, you know, I'm sure a lot of the viewers would really like him. He's really a good-looking guy. And I said, eye candy? I said, what am I?
And they said?
We love you, but you're not eye candy.
All right.
You're more like warm milk with cookies.
And so another viewer wants to know, speaking of those cases, has there been anything that has totally and completely shocked you, given your background with a talk show that you yourself said was crazy and was a circus? On this judge show, has there been something that just completely shocked you?
Well, one thing, there was this one guy who took his shotgun and shot the dog. There was a strange dog on his yard barking, and he was scared. So he ran inside the house and locked the door, which I could understand. I don't know why he locked the door. The dog wasn't going to be able to open the doorknob. But anyway, but then he opened the window, took out his shotgun, and he shot the dog. Why not call the neighbor? Is this your dog? Why not call 911? Who takes out a gun and shoots a dog? You know, so that's one case that came to mind recently that I did that, you know, I had trouble with. All
right, we have run out of time, but thank you very much for joining us, and we'll see you today at 3 o'clock here on WFTV Channel 9 in Orlando.
Well, great. Thanks a lot.